stronger impact than in other part of the globe. Next slide. So we need clearly to do something to address climate change and sustainability. I just want to flag 3 examples of problems that we are facing. And I just took 3 very recent pieces of news just to say that if we really want to address the problems that were discussed, we need, as experts in one field, to know also a bit about other fields. We need to know how to communicate with experts in other fields. First examples comes from litigation and climate change. The news from the 26th of May of Shell being ordered by a court in the Netherlands to cut emissions. You see the joy of the people who made this challenge. Now, how are we going to address this? How are we going to help Shell do it? Or how are we going to force Shell to do it? Well, we need to provide scientific evidence, so we need experts in the weather system and the climate to tell us exactly what's happening. We need economists to be able to provide evidence that actually if we address climate change, we can have a positive impact on the economy. We need technology to provide solutions. How can we help Shell to identify the way to reduce emissions? Are there technological solutions or not? We need law. We need law to provide the framework so that we can really push everyone to accelerate transition towards decarbonization. And we need social scientists to tell us what could be the impact of not addressing climate change on the community. So as you can see, if you are an expert in one of the fields and you want to work in this area, you need to know a bit about the other area, and you need to be able to communicate with these experts in other fields. The next slide shows you another example. It comes from the United Nations. It's the news of a couple of weeks ago about the impact of climate change on the world's food supply. So again here, how can we make sure that in a warmer climate, we can supply food to everyone? Well, we need to rethink agriculture. We need maybe to define better strategies so that we can grow food even in a warming climate. Even if we stop emitting CO2 today, the climate will continue to warm for a few decades. So we need to find solutions to this problem. Again, science can provide evidence and future projections. Genetics can help identify crops that can sustain changes, that can adapt better than others. Social science can help us working effectively with the affected communities so that we can together find the best solutions so that everyone can have access to food. And my third example is about energy and mobility and how green hydrogen, and I want to underline green, can be used to help us moving towards a decarbonized society. So for you have read about the debate about the different colors of the hydrogen, the green, the blue, the gray. No, there is really only one solution to climate change, and we should all push towards investments into generating green hydrogen. It's more expensive than blue and gray hydrogen, but it provides the solution we want. So we need to think and work with the lawyers, with the economists, with the engineers to find the best way to make sure that green hydrogen is the preferred solution. And we are not ending up with a gray or blue hydrogen that don't really solve the problem. They can reduce a bit the emissions, but we are not going to solve the problem. We are just delaying the time when we will reach net zero emissions. So the next slide. So these 3 examples, I hope I've shown you that really the world today well, is more complex, or say requires experts in different disciplines to address the complex problems that it has, okay? We need to think multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary to be able to address it. And the way we have designed this PhD with colleagues from all the disciplines that you see in this diagram, and as you can hear from Mario, the coordinator, and my other colleagues, is that we wanted to design a roadmap, an educational roadmap, a research program that will help you preparing for this world, the world we're living in. Back to you, Mario.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you. And I have to say that we all need to be very grateful to Roberto, because without his vision, his experience, his contribution, all these projects, all these activities wouldn't be possible. And really thank you, Roberto. Roberto will be available to answer questions during the Q&A session. And let me also thank the other colleagues who are attending the seminar, in the attendees, and Marco Gaetani, my colleague, and Paolo Giudici from University of Pavia, who are here with me as panelists. We are all available for questions and answers at the end of this short presentation. I also tell you that we are on YouTube on live streaming, and I copy and paste the link on the chat if you are more comfortable to follow us on YouTube. But it will be possible to make questions just on Zoom. Okay, after this brief introduction, I will spend about 15 minutes to give you an overview on the PhD, some information on why we thought that the best structure, the best approach for a PhD on sustainability and climate change was to have a national-wide inter-university PhD. You know, the PhD courses are normally offered by a single university, or sometimes by a small consortium of 2 or more university jointly. But in 2019, 2 projects for a nationwide inter-university PhD course have been submitted to the Ministry of University and Research. The first project was our project on sustainable development and climate change, coordinated by us, US Pavia. And the second one was a PhD on artificial intelligence, coordinated by University of Pisa. Both projects have been funded by the Ministry of University and Research. And they have at least 2 common features. The first one is that the topics, both sustainability and climate change and artificial intelligence, are strategic and relevant topics for our country, and I would say for all our world. And the second is that by the type of topics and the type of research, multidisciplinary research we wanted to perform, was necessary not to promote this project as a single university, but as a network of universities and research institutes. So this dimension of a network was essential for the success of this project. The founders of the consortium behind the project are mainly 5 founders. USE was the original proposal of this project. The second is the Center for Climate Change Sustainable Actions, made of the Federation of the Advanced School Sant'Anna di Pisa, Normale di Pisa, and USE Pavia. whose Roberto Guizza is the coordinator and director. Then the third founder, we can say, is probably literally a founder, is the Ministry of University and Research, who actually gave us also contribution to for the scholarships of this PhD. Then we had the Italian Alliance for Sustainable Development, who actually supported the idea and the concept of this PhD. And last but not least, the Italian University Network for Sustainable Development, who actually really made possible the connection between all the universities in the consortium. By means of an expression of interest, we collected the interest from 30 universities in Italy. The expression of interest was open just for Italian university. And these 30 universities and public research institutes cover the entire Italian territory and all the PhD research areas. The third component is are the knowledge partners. The first knowledge partner is the Enel Foundation, and many others will come, and they provide scientifics and stimulants to the scientific debate. All these three component founders, academic partners, and knowledge partners are part of the consortium. Some key facts you probably already saw on the website. This PhD course is a 3-year course, full-time. We plan to have more than 160 hours of educational program, and we'll give you some details on this aspect. Within the 3 years, is expected to spend at least 6 months of research activity abroad in collaboration with a foreign university or a research institute. There are, for this cycle, more than 100 scholarships fully funded. And for each scholarship, there is a reference person, and I would say a research team. The reference person is a person in the OST, in one of the OST university, is a professor or a researcher from the 30 universities. This just to give you some numbers. An idea of the course organization, well, as I said, use is the headquarter of the PhD course, and it provides the PhD coordination and the administrative services. But there are 30 host universities. Each host university provides the research supervisor, the research team and environment, and research resources. So each PhD candidate carries out the research activities at the host university on a specific research topic. So most of the time, the PhD candidate will stay at the host university, although all the PhD candidates are enrolled at USE. The PhD candidate is hosted at a specific university, but this does not mean that all the activities are just there, because by means of this network that we build, we expect to have many collaborations between all the universities in the consortium. PhD candidates will go according to the educational and research program on the different university to attend courses. And we'll give you information on this aspect. At the end, we have a network then that covers, as I said before, all the entire territory, 30 universities, more than 80 departments, 150 professors and researchers, computational resources, laboratories, libraries, educational infrastructure, everything that we need to actually carry out the research that we program. The curricula, Roberto already gave you background on the concept of this PhD. I can say that there is one core research topic, sustainable development and climate change, that we treat as one single topic, given that they are very strictly interconnected. And we have 6 different curricula. These 6 different curricula cover different aspects, different challenges related with the core research topic. We have curriculum 1, Earth System and Environment, curriculum 2, Socio-economic Risk and Impacts, curriculum 3, Technology and Territory, curriculum 4, Theories, Institutions and Cultures, 5, Agriculture and Forestry, and 6, Health and Ecosystems. As you see, these are not disciplines in the traditional way. These are aspects, tools, challenges of the same research topic, sustainable and development. These 6 curricula then are strictly interconnected. They are implicitly, by structure, by construction, multidisciplinary, and they are transdisciplinary as well. More details on the program of each curriculum can be found on the website. Here you have very short description on each curriculum. Earth System Processes and New Perspective in the Environmental Development, Transition Towards and Decarbonized Sustainable Economy, Technology Systems and Approaches for the Sustainable Transition of Community, Territories and Production Processes, Theory, Institution and Cultures of the Ecological Transition, Innovative Models for Resilient and Sustainable Agri-Food and Forestry Systems, and Climate and Global Change and Health from Ecosystems to Humans. The 6 curricula are structured in a way that both the research activities and the educational program are structured on different components, on different dimensions. The first is the horizontal, transversal, common dimension, where sustainable development, climate change is the key topic. Then we have, of course, a vertical dimension where we try to go into the aspects related to of each curriculum, or each of the 6 curriculum. But given that we need to perform research that needs, of course, to be also positioned in journals, in disciplines, specific disciplines, there is also a focus on the research topic of each PhD candidate. So imagine that we have at least these 3 levels, horizontal, vertical, and the focused one. About the governance, how the structure of the governance is. The first dimension, the first group, the first level is that each CU, each curriculum has a board which actually organizes the activities. They also manage the ordinary activities of the PhD. The set of CU boards constitute the PhD board. Each curriculum nominates also a CU coordinator. We have then 6 CU coordinators and nominate also the PhD coordinator. The PhD coordinator plus other 3 members of the PhD board plus the CU coordinators is the coordination committee. The coordination committee tries to manage the day-by-day activity of the PhD. And there is another group of people made of experts from different research institutes and different stakeholders called advisory board, which actually supports and interacts with the coordination committee in order to organize the research and the educational activity. About the educational program, we keep this structure of the 3 levels, horizontal, vertical, and focus. On the first level, we organize multidisciplinary events to expose all the PhD candidates to the complexity of the topic of sustainability and climate change. Then on the second level, we have curriculum events to train PhD candidates on tools and topics common to the scientific curriculum. And on the third level, focus and disciplinary selection of thematic and methodological courses suggested by the supervisors and offered by the local host universities. Then the 3 levels, this is an overview. We have these 3 levels, MD, CU, and FD. The organizer is PhD board in the first case, CU board in the second case, and supervisors in the third case. And for the first level, we have at least 48 hours of training, for the second 48 hours, and for the third 64 hours. In total, more than 160 hours. This is just an example of calendar. Details will be provided later on, where in the 3 years of PhD course, we will organize a kickoff event, some seasonal events, and we will organize and plan the different activity, MD, CU, and FD, such that there is a good mixture of training and work with the team, with your PhD colleagues. About the research program, so we have some research keywords: climate, sustainability, adaptation, energy, anything that you can imagine related with the topic. But also we have some goals that we would like to keep in our research program. And these goals are the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN, from the UN, the 17 goals. I will give you some details on these in few moments. In total, each scholarship is connected with a research topic. For the curriculum 1, Earth System and Environment, we have 20 scholarships, which means we have 20 research topics which are described in very details in the research program. For curriculum 2, Socioeconomic Risk and Impact, we have 17 scholarships / research topics. For number 3, Technology and Territory, 29. For 4, Theories, Institutions and Cultures, 13. For 5, Agriculture and Forestry, 13. And for 6, Health and Ecosystem, 13 as well. In total, 105 scholarships / research topic. Here is the description of research topics. On the website of the PhD, you can find the research program, which actually describes the curriculum program, but also describe with this card the research topics. Let me give you a very short description of the card. You have a scholarship code. This is essential for the admission procedure, as we will see in a minute. The scholarship code is very simple because it's made of a letter referring to the curriculum, A, B, C, D, E, F, and the number of the scholarship. So remember that this scholarship code is a unique code described in research topic, and you need this code to refer to a specific scholarship. Then we have the research title, the research keywords. We try to choose keywords to describe in essential what the research would like to be. The reference European Research Council sectors, ERC. So there is a website that we cite in the research program to define the ERC sectors. These sectors are meant to be sectors within which the research will be based. They are not fixed limits, but we try to give you, an idea of the area of the research areas where actually the research is located. Then we have also from 1 to 3 SDG, so Sustainable Development Goals, to which the research is oriented. We have a reference person. This reference person is also available to provide you more in-depth information. You can contact him or her to ask questions related to the research topics. For this reason, you will find the email address of this person. The reference person could be very likely the research supervisor, but that is not mandatory. It will be the PhD board who will decide these after the beginning of the PhD. Then you have the host university, and the host university is another important information because is where you will spend most of the time to carry out your research. You have a short paragraph describing the research topic, describing the scope and the objectives of the research in more detail. And then you have a very short paragraph describing the research team and environment, indicating where the research activities will be carried out, because host university is a very large site. But here in this paragraph, you can find more detailed information on the persons, the team you will spend your time, and if there is a research center, if there is a laboratory, all the information indicating where the research activities will actually be carried out. And the last paragraph is a paragraph on the suggested skills that ideally the candidate should possess in order to succeed in their doctoral research, in his doctoral research. Also, suggested skills is an information that would like to help you to make your choice about research topic. So this card is a very important card that I invite you to read carefully in order to make your choice. I'll come back on the choice in a minute. First, I'll give you just a very general overview about the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, to which the different research topics are connected with. Here there is a very general histogram where you can see that goal number 13, climate action, goal number 11, related with sustainable cities and communities, goal number 12, about responsible consumption and production, are the top three, just to give you an idea on where the research is going, is directed to in this context. Let's talk now on the, let's now talk about the admission procedure. On the website, there is this timeline giving you the framework. So in June, we published the call for application. In July, the submission deadline. In October, the selection. In November, the start of the PhD course. But let me give you more details on the important dates. On the 22nd of July, there's the deadline for the application. So it's a very important deadline for you. I invite you not to wait the last day to submit your application, but to prepare your application some days before to avoid problems with overloading the server and everything related with that. During this period, you are absolutely invited to make questions, to contact the PhD information desk and all the persons who are cited in the research program, which are very, very happy to provide you information and assistance for the application. The 6th of August, we will publish the results of the qualifications assessment and inclusion in the oral interviews. This is just the first stage of the admission procedure, because the oral interviews will start at the end of August, the 30th of August. We will spend probably 2-3 weeks on to perform the oral interviews, and before the 27th of September, we will publish the final selection, the final ranking. These are the important dates to remember, especially the first one. The application deadline is the 22nd of July. Important, when you submit the application, you cannot anymore withdraw the application or modify the application. So be sure before submitting the application to check everything, to make questions before submitting the application. So how to apply? First of all, go to the website www.uspavia.it/PhD-SDC. The acronym SDC, of course, you already understood, is Sustainable Development and Climate Change. The SDC is also related with SDG by sound. Read the educational program. The educational program gives you information on the structure I just briefly described here on the 3-level structure. Read the research program. In the research program, you find also the cards describing each research topic. Choose your curriculum. Very important, in the admission procedure, you can choose just one curriculum. You can select just one curriculum. It's not possible to present applications for 2 different curricula. Just one curriculum can be selected. Read the description of the research topics within that curriculum and choose your favorite research topics. Here, you can select up to 3 research topics in an order of preference. You need to assign a certain order to research topics, so you can find number 1, number 2, and number 3 preference, and you can, of course, even select just one, minimum 1, but you can select up to 3 research topics. Then you need to submit your CV, your research proposal, and a letter of purpose. Let me give you some information about 3 these important documents. First of all, curriculum vitae, CV. The language is English. We decided also to give you a limit of words, 2,000 words, which it's a lot, just because we would like to avoid that you put there not usable information. Try to be brief and right to the point. So in 2,000 words, you should be able to provide information about education qualifications and training path, research and work experience, list of publications if you have any, and of course any other academic or professional experience that you could have. So important to be very short, right to the point, but not to forget to provide these important essential information. Research proposal. The research proposal is another important document. I invite you to spend sufficient time to prepare this important document, which will be evaluated, and I'll show you the score assigned to research proposal. Language is in English. This research proposal can be from a minimum of 1,000 words to a maximum of 2,500 words. So you can choose whether be short or long, but to be within this range. Even in this research proposal, as I said, for the CV, you should be brief, short, right to the point, and the research proposal is on the research topic chosen as the first preference. This is an important point because, as I said before, you can select up to 3 research topics. However, because here you need to prepare a research proposal and you cannot organize the proposal on different topics, what we decided is to give you the possibility to concentrate, to focus just on one research topic. This does not mean that you will be assessed just for that research topic, because what we will try to assess is your ability to describe your research proposal, to describe what an abstract, the research scope and questions related with your proposal, the methodology, the expected results and impact. So basically, what we will try to assess is your capability, your skill to structure a research proposal, and not to evaluate the particular specific topic that you've chosen, but just to assess it in very general terms. Letter of purpose. Letter of purpose is another important document. The language is again just in English, maximum 500 words. And this letter of purpose can be on the main research topics, on the preferable one, and the other 2 favorite ones. So it can be on your selections, and you should report here your motivations to carry out your research, your interest related with these research topics, your relevant skills, and try to link your skills with the type of research, with the topics that you selected, and your relevant experience. Again, try to make a link between your experience, your skills, with the selected research topics. Selection procedure. The selection procedure is divided in 2 phases. In the first phase, the selection board, based on the submitted documents, will assess the qualifications on, first one, reporting on your CV, and these will score up to 20 points. And the 2 documents I described, research proposal and letter of purpose, which together will score up to 40 points. As you see, CV, research proposal, and letter of purpose are important documents in order to be qualified for this PhD. The minimum score to pass to the next phase is 35. 35 over maximum 60 points that you can score on this phase. Second phase is this, the selection board will interview each candidate to assess both eligibility and skills on what? The scientific background, the research proposal again, and the letter of purpose. These will score up to 40 points. The research proposal, the letter of purpose, if you want, can be also presented by means of slides. You can share your screen, showing slides, showing graph, plots, whatever you need in order to present your ideas. The minimum score to pass is 25. 25 over 40 points in total. So basically, by these two phases, we will then produce a final ranking. For each curriculum, you will have two things. First, a total score, the sum of qualifications plus oral interview scores, and the scholarship eligibility, which means that within the selection of 3 research topics that you selected, the evaluation committee, the evaluation board will assess the eligibility on each of these research topics. You could be eligible for all 3 topics selected, just for 1, for 2, it depends. But it is important to say the eligibility will be within your selection, not out of your selection. Okay, so the selection of research topics is, for this reason, very important. Here is an example of how will look the final ranking. The final ranking will have for each PhD candidate a final score, and for each scholarship is associated a host university, for instance, B1, B2, B3, B6, and you will also have a sheet of the eligibility, the scholarships where you have been assessed eligible in the order of preference that you presented in the application. That is really important. Given this final ranking, we will then assign the scholarship. Let me anticipate one question that most of you already made by mail. Both stages, so the first one and the second one will be on Zoom remotely. So for the oral interviews, there are no restrictions in terms of country travels, everything. You need just to sit on at your home, and you can basically just wait for the time of your oral interview, and by means of Zoom, a very simple platform, we will perform the oral interview. So oral interviews just remotely, just on Zoom, no physical, no meeting in persons. Okay, so call for applications is open, as you saw on our website. If you need information, please go on the website or write the PhD mail address, PhD-SDC@newsparia.it. I'm very, very excited and very happy to answer to your questions. So please, if you have questions now, you can raise your hand and make your question. Thank you very much. So just to explain, on your screen, you should have a bar with a button called Q&A. On that button, you can write your question. It will appear on the screen to everybody, or if you want, you have another button with raise hand. You can raise your hand and make directly your question, and it'll give you the permission to talk. So please, I see already a couple of hands raised. So Davide Cerra. Davide, you can speak.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the presentation. I want to ask, what are the expected output from the PhD journey? So are you expecting a paper for each year, or I don't know, some case studies, some other stuff?
Okay, thank you, Davide. Thank you. I probably take some questions before going to the answers. I say hello to Mauro Soldati, another colleague of us. Hello. They join us from University of Modena and Reggio Emilia. So I take the question from Sonali. Sonali, you can make your question.
Hello. What I want to ask is regarding the minimum qualifications. Currently, I have done my master's, which is a research-based one. And I just want to know, is there a minimum credit criteria for me to apply? Like, should my master's be master's with a 120 credits, or is it enough to have a 60 credit master's? That's my question. And other thing is, still I haven't received my official transcript, but in another few months I'll be receiving. So yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonali. I take other questions. So Tommaso Cortopassi, please.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about the selection procedure, the assignment of points. And research proposal and a letter of purpose appear in both phase 1 and phase 2. I think if I understood correctly, in phase 2, we are required to sort of explain the research proposal and the letter of purpose with, I don't know, something like slides or something, while in the first step, we have to write a PDF or something like that, if I understood correctly.
Okay, thank you, Tommaso. Let me see if there are other. Okay, Luisa Nenci. Please, Luisa, you can make your question.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
My question was about the 150 hours of education course. So I would like to know what is the calendar for the course. So if the course and the activities are residential in the university, or if it could be online, and which kind of, if 160 hours is for all the course, or 3 for each year, or yes, sort of calendar, or at least a drafted one. Thank you
very much, Luisa. Thank you. Thank you. Sudhanshu Bhatt.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor, for this opportunity to ask this question. And I would like to thank Marco also for responding to my question earlier. I just wanted to ask you, I'm a working professional in pharmaceutical industry from India, but I have an MBA from France, ESC Rennes School of Business, and I have a work experience of around 10 years. I have an interest in diversity issues, which is UN SDG goal number 5. I do not have any research papers that are published yet, but I do have a case study which was published by Ivy, but now featuring on Harvard Business Review. And I have another case study which is under review by Ivy Business Publishing. So do you think I have good chances of getting selected, I mean, without having any published research papers? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you. okay, probably we can try to answer to this first tranche of questions. I see there are a couple of questions on the board. Nisha Nakarmi, on letter of purpose, whether it needs to base on first priority research top or the other second priority as well. And selection procedure 2 for eligibility and skills, same research proposal, submit me for one or different we want to submit. Okay, so let me proceed in this order. Given that here with me there are also Roberto, Marco, and Mauro. First of all, Roberto, you like to answer to the first question about PhD outputs, expected PhD outputs. So please, Roberto.
Yes, thank you for the question. There could be a difference between the different curricula, okay? So we have people studying the hard sciences, for example, math, physics, where I would expect that people working in there are will publish papers. So now the number could be 1 to 3, but at least I think we will probably want to see people to produce high-level research that can lead to good publication. Now, in other curricula like the social sciences, this requirement could be different. So it will be up to the different curricula and the supervisors to clarify exactly what they expect as a result of a PhD. But we really aim to provide that. We clearly want that the research that the people will do is going to be a high-level research. So, which means that if it's science, it will be papers. If it is more social work, might be book chapters or books, or we will see that. Okay. Now, on the issue, on the other question about the admission. So clearly, again, there is going to be a competition here. We will have people with degrees from universities applying with marks. There will be people who has published, people who has not published. We will see who applies. We will look at the curricula. We will look at, and then we will see who to admit to the interviews. And then the interviews also will help us selecting. So again, I cannot say really whether not having published any paper is good enough. Clearly, if I have, you need also to think about the fact that if we have two candidates, one has just finished the undergraduates, and another one has already done 10 years of work. The undergraduate, and both don't have any publication, probably the undergraduate who hasn't yet started working didn't have any chance to write papers. So the weight that we will give to the CV will also take into account the age of the people. If someone has already worked for 10 years in a research environment and has not published any research or hasn't done any research, this will not be seen as positive, for example. Okay, you need to see it like that. But again, if the person who applies doesn't have any publication, but has done an impressive work experience with great achievements and is bright, and then we might consider. So it's difficult to provide with an exact answer to these questions, okay? I don't know, Mario, whether you...
Yeah, okay, yes, I agree with you, Roberto. And all the questions related with the qualifications, whether your qualifications are enough to pass the first step, cannot be answered here because we are not the evaluation board. The evaluation board will be nominated at the end of the application procedure, at the end of the deadline, I mean. The qualifications will be assessed very carefully, as Roberto was saying before, there is not an objective limits. There is not a required threshold in terms of number of publications, number of masters or duration of studies. No, I mean, the qualification criteria will be assessed very carefully by the evaluation board. I invite you to submit your application by preparing all the 3 documents, CV, research proposal, and letter of purpose very carefully. So try to describe briefly, but very carefully, your experience, your skills, and just wait for the evaluation. So we cannot answer to specific questions like, it's enough to have 2 publications to be admitted to the oral. No, we cannot answer to these questions. Other type of questions, in terms of there was a selection procedure. Yeah, about the selection procedure. So selection procedure, phase 1 is just about on qualifications assessment. Phase 2 is about the oral interview. In the oral interview, you can describe in more detail your scientific background, your research proposal, and your letter of purpose. There was a question about what is about the research proposal and what is about the letter of purpose in terms of research topics. So the research proposal is just on your first choice. So you selected up to 3 research topics. The research proposal is just on the first selection, on your favorite, your first choice. The letter of purpose instead is on the 3 choices, the 3 research topics that you selected. So you can talk on the experience, the skills, the interests, motivations related with all the 3 research topics that you selected. So you are more free in the letter of purpose. The aim of the letter of purpose is to make the link between your skills, your experience, your motivations with the research topics that you selected. Is to motivate your selection, is to motivate your choice, okay? For this reason, is connected with all the research topics. Also, Mauro, Paolo, Marco, if you want to intervene, please let me know. It's no problem. Another type of question was about the educational program, the structure, the calendar of the educational program. So the calendar of the educational program is not yet ready in terms of the precise dates. This will be programmed in the next weeks. For sure, will be ready by the beginning of the PhD course. We are working on it. What we wanted to give you was the general structure of the educational program. So the 3 levels, 48 hours plus 48 hours plus 64. So 160 hours at minimum, at least 160 hours, because we could probably organize more events, or your supervisor could suggest you to attend more local university courses, so focus and disciplinary courses. But the minimum is this structure, 48, 48 plus 64 on the 3 levels. I hope I answered to the question. Let me see, there is a question on if it's possible to work for other projects during the PhD. No, the PhD is a full-time position. This means that it is required that you dedicate 100% of your time to carry out your research. There are some possibilities to occasionally collaborate or work in other projects if your supervisor and if your PhD board will evaluate this possibility not in contrast with the scope of the PhD and compatible with the time the time for performing this work. I see Paolo Giudici would like to intervene. So Paolo, please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon to all. Welcome. I would like to add a comment on what is required, particularly for the socio-economic sciences. I'm indeed part of that curriculum, and I would like to confirm what Roberto said, that in our area, essentially what the kind of profile that we would like to have concern people with stronger quantitative background, because the idea here is to measure the risks, the impacts, balance them, and suggest actions which could be policies taken at the economic level or business decisions taken by companies. So this is the idea, but of course, to suggest actions, we need to measure and weigh the costs, the benefits, and the risks. So here we expect good PhD students to work on research publications, like typically in the other hard sciences, as indeed we are mixing hard sciences with policy suggestions. So requirements are quite similar to those of the hard sciences. Also, I would like to take the opportunity to add that this is really a very important challenge for you, as it is, multidisciplinarity is written in the actual coursework here. It's not just a word, but it is something that is realized in practice through your research and workload. This is something that is highly requested by most institutions, whether private or public, in a growing way. Just to give you a practical example, just 2 months ago, the Bank of Italy with the Bank for International Settlement launched a competition worth 50,000 euro to devise a mechanism to measure ESG risks, environmental, social, and governance risks, just to tell you what is at stake. So here, clearly, competences and skills are very much in need, and this is a very good opportunity for you. But I'm available for further questions. Clearly, I don't want to take much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. Thank you. I see also Marco raised his hand. So please, Marco, go ahead.
Yeah, Mario, just to because there are some questions in the question and answer section that I didn't respond. Okay, the first by Sonali, I have the impression we already responded, isn't it?
Well,
about,
no. Let me provide some information on that because probably is of general interest. So Sonali asked whether she needs to get the title in this particular case is the master before the application deadline. No, you can. It is important that you get your officially your qualification at the end of October. Okay, so even after the application deadline. So if your master thesis is scheduled, the discussion is scheduled, for instance, in September, and you get your qualification at the end of September, beginning of October, that's okay. The important is that you get your qualification before the end of October, so before the PhD course starts, okay? These also apply to undergraduates if they need to take their bachelor or your master science, that any title that you need to get, important deadline is the end of October. This means also that in the qualification assessment, when you not have the qualification yet, for instance, master degree, we will evaluate your course transcript. Okay, so all the exams, gradings, your academic career. So we'll take into consideration that your title officially is not yet ready. So be free and relaxed that even if before the application deadline you do not have your qualification, you can get them before the end of October. So that was a relevant question. There was another question about the period abroad. So the PhD course lasts for 3 years in total, okay? Within these 3 years, you are invited to spend at least 6 months abroad in one of our connected university or research institutes in Europe or abroad. When I say at least 6 months, it means that depending on what your supervisor will suggest you, you could be even a little bit more than 6 months, but in general, 6 months. We think that this period is important both for your research in order to build connections with other colleagues, with other PhD candidates, with other researchers, but also for our PhD course is a way to build a network, to expand the network beyond the limits of Italy. I see there is Kashifali who raised his hand. So Kashifali, please, if you want, you can answer your question. Kashifali? Kashifali Quasrani, sorry if I pronounced.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, okay, yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mario, for presentation. And I have a question regarding to publish research paper. What is the requirement to publish research paper for doctorate degree? Is it specific? Is it any specific number to publish the research paper?
Within the PhD course, you mean?
Yeah, PhD course. Actually, I am applying for electrical engineering for my doctorate degree. So I have a question related to publish. How many research papers should be published?
Well, Kashifali, there are no specific requirements. What I want to be very clear is that all the specific requirements and characteristics of your research will be decided together with your PhD supervisor, okay? There are general criteria, general directions for PhD. You are, as Roberto was saying before, you are encouraged to publish paper your PhD course, but I cannot go into more detail because specific requirements, specific characteristics of your papers will be decided with your PhD supervisor. I don't know if Roberto or Marco wants to add something on that. Roberto? No? Okay. So.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. There are other questions in the Q&A session.
There is one question by Bharat Kumar, but I cannot really understand what the question is. Selection procedure for eligibility and skills and research proposal submitted for one or two.
I think I can understand. Yes, Bharat, the research proposal that will be discussed in the phase 2 is the same that you submitted in phase 1. Okay, so you submit your research proposal within the application deadline. The same research proposal will be assessed in the first phase and in the second phase. The difference is that in the second phase, there is an oral interview. The committee, the board will make questions. You have the possibility to describe your research, your ideas. You can use a presentation, you can use slides, you can use, you can share the screens to go into the detail. So to be short, the research proposal is exactly the same. Research proposal is on your first choice, your research topic number 1. But as I was saying before, the research proposal is used also to understand your capability, your skills to translate ideas in terms of a methodological framework, in terms of expected output, and for this reason can be also used to assess the eligibility to the other scholarships, to the other research topics, okay? So the reason we decided to have the research proposal just on one topic is to make easier for you to write a research proposal. Otherwise, organize a research proposal on many topics could be difficult. But in any case, you have the possibility to expand, to explain the research proposal during the oral interview, even beyond the research topic number 1. How much do the PhD students get paid? Well, not much, I have to say, because it's a little bit more than 1,100 euro per month. It's a scholarship. This is a net, let's say, salary. There is also social securities expenses that are paid out of it. Well, this is a scholarship. What we think is, in any case, and this scholarship is the amount of this scholarship is the same for the Italian system. Do you already know how and where the MD-SCU event will be held? Is there an idea on student accommodation? Okay, thank you, Valeria. So the MD and CU events, probably the first event will be held in Pavia, but having the possibility to be hosted in 30 different universities in different cities, we will organize event in different locations during the 3 years. We do not have a specific plan ready yet, so I cannot tell you all the other events will be held, but we will go around in Italy. So this is also an opportunity to know different universities, different cities. Important thing is that the mobility expenses, so the cost to travel and to be accommodated during this MD-SU event are covered by the administration, okay? Apart the salary, apart your scholarship, there is a specific budget for travel and accommodation just for MD and CU event, of course, not for your stay at your host university. Do we have to include a list of all the exams passed and scores receiving the CV, even if we already graduated? Thank you. Yeah, okay. So there is the possibility to load your transcript, okay, examination transcripts. If you go in the announcement, it is described the procedure how to upload your transcripts, okay? So exams grades are important, especially for those students who have not yet graduated, have not yet the official title, because it's the only way to score them. Matteo Bellinzas, is it possible to collaborate with other universities not included in the PhD-SDC network, but very competent in the topic, to enhance the research results? Yeah, so there is an error, is SDC. Remember, it's PhD-SDC, like climate, okay? Yes, of course, it's possible to collaborate with other universities. This will depend on your research team, on your research supervisors. Research is about collaboration, so why not? The collaboration is not just within the network, but also with other universities, with other research institutes. Of course, our PhD network is intended to be already a common home, a common place where these collaborations are facilitated. But of course, collaboration with other universities are also allowed.
May I add few words on that? Of course, we are requiring students, candidates to go abroad for a few months. So we want candidates go abroad in other university, not you know, the university in this Italian network. So collaboration with universities abroad are more than welcome.
Thank you, Marco. Okay, Nietzsche, all the application reference documents have mentioned English as primary language for study. But for application, there was no any mention about, okay, TOEFL titles. Okay, so it's fine to still apply without this language score. Yes, yes. So there is not an English certificate required. So you will be assessed also in terms of your English level during the oral interview. And of course, your research proposal letter or purpose are in English. So English as a primary language will be assessed during the oral interview. No specific certificates are necessary. Let me see. I don't see other questions in the panel.
There is sorry, Mario. There is one by Valeria Finelli asking whether the I mean, is the specific budget, I guess she refers to the salary, whether there is you know, an integration when you go abroad.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Valeria, thank you. So yes, when you go, let me say this in a very simple way. So you have a base salary. Your base salary it covers your staying at your Yost University for the 3 years, and you will have on a monthly basis your salary. When you go abroad, you have actually an increase of your salary of 50%. Okay, in your budget, you have already these extra budget covered for the first 6 months. So 6 months of your stay, instead of receiving approximately 1,100 euro, you have 50% more. Okay, just for those months that you go abroad. On top of this extra budget, you have also a research budget that covers the travel costs, accommodation costs, but any other costs related with your research, like buying a computer or like, I don't know, going to a workshop. So the registration cost for a workshop, publishing a paper on an open journal, anything related with your research, there is a budget for that. So basically, these are the 3 main budgets. So the base salary, the extra budget for the period abroad, and the research budget. I see there are some ends. So Mohamed Amro please, you can make your question. Mohamed?
Yes, Chaudi, thank you for the presentation. I want to ask about another previous question regarding another universities. And here, especially for the international students, if we want to make a kind of this cooperation with the local institutions in our home country, for example, in Palestine for me, should that be included in the proposal stage, to write in the proposal that we are looking to make this kind of cooperation with this university and put this university as a reference? That's my first question. The second thing, it's about the abroad research period. Could we also have this in our hometowns for international students, I mean? Thank you.
Okay, it was a little bit difficult to understand the question for me because the audio was not perfect. I don't know, Roberto, did you? No. Marco, did you? Mohamed, sorry, can you try?
I got the second part of the question, which was about the possibility to spend the period abroad in his hometown.
Ah, okay. Okay, so let's answer first to this part of the question, and then I'll ask Mohamed to repeat the question. So, well, in theory, it's not forbidden to spend your period abroad in your home country. It's a contradiction, however, because the aim for a period abroad is to give you the possibility to know new places, to know new persons, to know a different institute, a different university. So I would say that is not ideal to spend your period abroad to your home country. So although is abroad for Italy, is not abroad for you. So I would say that is not the best. Regarding the first part of your question, can you repeat your question, please, Mohamed? Because I had some problem to understand your question.
Yes, Mario. I mean, when one of the colleagues asked about if we want to make a kind of cooperation with other universities, should we include that in our proposals or not? That, for example, I want to do this in cooperation. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. If you want, you can include in your research proposal. Okay, that's no problem. If you have already an idea that you know that for that type of research, there is a specific center, there is a specific university that you would like to connect with. However, in the research proposal, as I showed you before, you have to concentrate on the methodological aspects, on the conceptual aspects, more on the expected results. So I would suggest not to spend much time in describing the logistic, the organization, the practical aspects, more on the general framework, the methodological. So is not, of course, it is allowed if you want to refer, but be sure first to describe very clearly the conceptual and methodological aspects before going into logistic details. Okay, thank you, Mohamed. There is another question in the, I see another hand, Hiba Abiaba. Sorry for my pronunciation. You can talk. Hiba? Hiba, can you? Yes.
Hear me?
Yes. Hiba, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor, for the detailed and specific presentation and interaction. I would like to know if the PhD candidate can expand the study of research to a formal project on expanding international cooperation.
Sorry, Hiba, the audio is very bad, unfortunately. The audio quality is very bad. Try to repeat your question or to write.
I will write my question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Hiba. Sorry, but the audio quality was not good. Okay, Marco, are any other question? Let me see on question and answer. is the period abroad mandatory? Asks Federica Paoli. Yes, the 6 months abroad are mandatory, or at least are strongly recommended. Of course, there are always exceptions, but in general, in our research program, we think that we will strongly recommend this period abroad. The reason is because, as I said before, we would like to build a relationship with also other university. We think is an important experience for you to understand also how research is organized in another country. Most of the time, collaborations with other universities is important in terms also in scientific terms, because our experts there on specific areas. So I would say that it's strongly recommended. And Valeria, is it possible to stop for a few times the scholarship for motivated reasons? Yes, I mean, there are periods that by law, the scholarship can be suspended, like for maternity leave, for health reasons. I mean, there are reasons, I confess I don't know all the possible cases, but are all the cases that are regulated by the law. But it is possible. Thank you, Valeria. Let me see if there are, okay, I say hello also to Norma Anglani, another colleague of ours, Norma from University of Pavia. Norma, if you want to intervene, if you want to say a couple of words, please.
Thank you, and sorry for being late, but I made it. I just welcome everybody. I can see that there are a lot of people, so I'm available if anybody needs any clarification with respect to one of the themes I'm proposing, which relates with an improvement in the use of renewable energy, particularly with respect to the resiliency of the microgrids. So I'm available if you need any further information. And thanks, Mario, for your introduction.
Okay, thank you, Norma, thank you. Let me say that this webinar is recorded. So if you want then to, if you miss any part or you want to see it again, you can go on our website. I see Mauro Soldati, our colleague who would like to say hello probably and intervene. Please, Mauro, floor is yours.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Mario. Since I have to leave for another meeting, I would like to say hello to all the candidates, potential candidates, and to the colleagues who are present today. I am available for any questions at my email address, which is reported in the scholarship sheet A1717. And my grant is about disaster risk reduction in coastal areas. I'm sorry for this promotion, but since I have to leave, and in case there was someone interested in this topic, please feel free to write an email to me, and then we can have a Skype meeting or on any other platform. So thank you very much, Mario, and especially thanks for those candidates who have already expressed their interest in our PhD program.
Thank you, Mauro, thank you. And I take the opportunity to remember that all the research topics related with the scholarships are described in detail in the research program. You can find there the reference person who you can, that you can contact. You can write to this person to ask any questions related with the research. And if you have questions related with the admission procedure, write to our mail address, PhD-SDC PhD-SDC@uspavia.it. We will publish also a FAQ session, FAQ session on frequently asked questions, where all the questions arrive by mail, and questions made on these webinars will be collected, organized, such that it will be easier for you to take tracks of the most frequently asked questions. I see Roberto is unmuted, so Roberto.
Yeah, we have one question in the chat and one raised hand. So on the chat, there is this question by Hiba, who says, I studied in Italy, I have a master from an Italian university, but I am a foreigner. Will I be considered as an Italian or as an international student? I would say you will be considered as an international student, correct, Mario?
Yes, you are international students, but let me also say that for our PhD, there is not a distinction between student from Italy or from abroad, okay? This PhD course is open to anybody from any country. It's an international PhD course, although it's an inter-university PhD course. So Hiba, don't worry, because you are more than welcome, either if you are Italian or foreign student. So I hope I answered to your question. There is another question on the chat, you said?
Yeah, no, the chat, there was someone with a raised hand, but he took it down, so there is not anymore a question. There is a question from Bharat. For resilient microgrids, we want to submit timeline of PhD work for 3 years. I think, I mean, my answer, Bharat, is that what we want to see with your application is whether it's clear in your mind what you would like to study, whether you have an idea of what are the key questions you want to address. Clearly, we don't expect you to detail exactly what you will be doing in the next 3 years, but at least give us an idea that you have some questions in mind, you're passionate about them, you have some ideas on how to address them, what type of tools, methods, data you need, experiments you want to perform, whatever. Okay, so don't think of, I need to say exactly what I will do in the next 3 years, but you just need to give us a good feeling that you know what you're talking about and what you want to study. Right, Mario, do you want to add anything?
No, perfect. Thank you, Roberto. I agree with everything you said.
I think we are at 5:45 and I don't see any more questions, neither any raised hand. I don't know whether you want to close or
okay,
you want...
no, very well, very well.
There is a question. Stop. One question from Tommaso Cortopassi. Tommaso, go. The floor is yours.
Wait a minute, Tommaso, I need to let you answer. Wait a second, I just closed the, yeah. Give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, so Tommaso, you should be able now to talk.
Okay, Tommaso, go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering if, I mean, you said that there are no requirements in terms of published papers, neither before application or during the PhD, the PhD. So it depends on the PhD advisor. I think it's called that, like that. But I was wondering if there are some, how can I call it, mandatory checks. I mean, I don't know, like after 1.5 years, we have to present the results of our research to the committee, or I mean, how our research will be monitored.
Yeah, thank you, Tommaso. Roberto, want to go?
Well, okay, this is how I work with my PhD students or whoever works with me. We decide on a research program, we decide on what to do for the next 6 months, 12 months, 2-3 years. And if after 12 months nothing has happened, no result is produced, no paper has been written, then I start asking questions. What have you done in these 12 months? If there is a reason why nothing has been produced, no, for example, it was a difficult problem, not clear yet how to address it, fine. If there are no reasons, well, then let's see how to move forward. You see, I mean, it's a bit like I would say real life, no, or real work. So you will discuss this with your supervisor. So with your supervisor, you will agree on a research plan, and after the first year, you will assess how it has been going and if it's going in the right direction or not, whether you need more support, less support, access to data you don't have, whether you need to follow any training to be able to use your data. Or so I mean, the idea is that we will try to support the PhD students as much as we can, but the PhD students will need to work, no, to study and work and show that they are prepared to use their minds and all their talents to do their research. And if this happens, no problems, no. So it's difficult to give you a precise answer. But let's say if someone doesn't do anything, well, at one point, we will have to consider the position of this person. Mario, do you want to add anything?
No, I agree with you, Roberto. I agree. And I think it's important to say, don't feel stressed now in terms of, requirements or objectives before starting PhD. Everything will be clear during your PhD. Objectives, scopes, criteria will be clear. Thanks to your supervisor, your PhD board, everything, you need to think this path as a path during which you are supported by many persons: supervisor, the research team, the PhD board, the organization itself. So anything that will be decided as a threshold, as an objective, will be feasible, will be reasonable. Hiba, thanks. Falak Nats, it is okay if our research proposal on a single main topic links to multiple research lines. For example, if the main topic is drought assessment, it could be linked to adaptability of risk factors and so on. Yes, of course. A research topic doesn't mean that is a single absolutely single topic, but as always in research, one topic is connected with many other topics. When we say the research proposal should be focused on a certain research topic, it means that you can write your research proposal focus on that topic, but you can work in terms of the methodology, in terms of the tools, in terms of interconnections, also with other topics, which you think, with other lines that you think are strictly connected. Valeria, even if this is a scholarship, is it as if I am working for the Italian government? No, okay, the scholarship does not mean that you are an employee of the Italian government. The scholarship is paid by USE, the USE school. You are not an employee, but you are a PhD student with all the right of a PhD student. You have a scholarship, you have a social security cost already paid. You have the right of, as I was saying, suspend your scholarship for good reasons. So it's basically not an employment, but is a scholarship. Okay, so this is the difference. The scholarship is paid by USE, but is funded depending on your host university by the different universities. So even though USE is paying your scholarship, all the 30 universities participate participated to the financial fundings for these big PhD courses. So the headquarter is not the only one, of course, which funded the PhD. Okay, Valeria, even if you miswrote your question, I hope that I interpreted correctly your question. I don't see other questions in the Q&A session. I don't see other hands in the attendees panel. So, Roberto, what do you think? We can probably close this webinar. I really thank you for the participation to this first webinar. We will probably schedule other webinars in the next weeks, because if there are many questions arriving by mail, or given the possibility to participate to this webinar also to other persons, we will organize in few days another webinar. This webinar is recorded, and the registration will be available on the website. Roberto, last words to you if you want to close the webinar. I say bye to everybody, and please.
No, I think we said a lot of things. Look at the documents. If you have more questions, write to us. I think it's an interesting project. This one, it's an interesting PhD. It should be fun and also prepare you for real life. So I encourage you to consider it. Thank you very much. Mario, you're mute. You're muted.
Sorry. I was just saying thank to all of you. I thank also Paolo, Marco, Norma, Mauro, and all the other colleagues connected. And of course, I thank Roberto, and we will then be available by mail, and we'll let you know if we will organize other webinars. I hope this webinar was useful. Thank you and good luck.